Hello, and welcome to Harvest and Heritage. My name is Tyreese Francis, and I am the Deputy Chair of the UWI Alumni Association, Dominica chapter. Today, we embark on a journey through the Kalinago territory, where ancient agricultural traditions meet modern sustainable practices. We'll be exploring the stories of those who were involved and how it helped shape the way they engage in agriculture. We begin our journey appropriately here at the Kalinago Baruna Ote, the model village by the sea, as it allows us to understand the rich history of Dominica's Kalinago people. Across the Kalinago territory, the landscape tells a story of generations who have lived in harmony with the natural world. From fertile valleys to forested hillsides, the land has long provided the foundation for community life, cultural traditions, and self-sufficiency. As communities face changing environmental conditions and new agricultural challenges, these practices offer a pathway that honors ancestral knowledge while embracing innovation. The lessons of the past continue to guide decisions that will shape a more resilient future. Yes, so Mr. Ogis, when and how did the first peoples come to the Caribbean?
Through historical finding, between 3000 and 200 BC, there was a movement coming from South America, and there was a movement of different tribes of people. So we had the Kalinagos, we had the Arawaks, we had Tainos. So they came from the Orinoco Basin and they navigated their way by canoes up the island chain. And we had, through historical findings, most of the settlements of the Kalinago people and the Arawaks, they settled within the Lesser Antilles. And today on Dominica is the only country where we have a surviving population of Kalinago people within the entire region. And not only we survive here, but for many years we have continued to preserve our culture and tradition. And of course today that you are with us right here at one of our economical hubs, the Kalinago Baranauti.
So let me also ask, how important was agriculture in the lives of the Kalinago people?
Agriculture is very important for we the Kalinago people. And the Kalinago territory is a very isolated community where it is on the east. And due to the lack of road, for example, so we had to live a very sustainable life here within the Kalinago territory for many, many years. And our crops that we grew was mainly cassava. We had other crops like toluma, arrowroot, sweet potatoes. And not only that, through thus farming, but fishing as well. Our main source of protein came from fish. And we didn't have a lot of modern equipment in the past. So we had to be very innovative and think of ways of how we can actually preserve these foods, right? So fishing, we had to smoke them and dry them. And even as children here, we would have to put them out at times to open them, to dry them and hit them. That was form of preservation, or barbecue, or roasting, sheshe, parfumé. You heard of these words?
No, I haven't.
Right. Okay, so we would have this galt and you would give them fire, you would smoke them. So this was some of the ways that would preserve our food. For cassava, today it has grown in a very big industry now, but cassava traditionally it was mainly used for farine production and cassava bread. And we would make another food out of it we call kanki, or some people refer to it as dukuna. So you would get the leaves of the heliconia and wrap this food. So our ancestors had to think of all this innovative way of how we can store and preserve this type of food. And not only this as well, but they also explore other crops as they move from island to island in the past traditionally. Go to Marigaland, so they would introduce other crops of the other indigenous people as well. So that is why there are certain crops that you find that are widely distributed throughout the entire Caribbean. And for us living here, we have continued to move into agriculture. We call diversify now. So we grow a wide range of crops where we, for example, horticulture, right? So we have potatoes now. We have other crops like taro, dashing, right? So, and then we start intercropping it with plantains, some bananas, pumpkins, and we have a few citrus now that is being introduced as well. But agriculture have always been our lifeline as well within the Kalinago territory. And even in modern society, to the modern times, the residents of the Kalinago territory are actively involved not only for food security for they and their family, but also they can earn some income as well from agriculture now we has it.
The farmer field school method, which was used in this project, has been around for about 40 years. Mr. Asher Burton, Agricultural Extension Officer for Dominica's Eastern Region, explains it is a learning by doing teaching method. Yes, so Mr. Burton, what is the farmer field school methodology?
Okay, so the Farmers Field School is a hands-on approach with farmers where you teach farmers how to actually use different methodologies in the field. So there are two parts to it. Normally, for example, you would do a theoretical session with them, explain terms, show them different guidelines, give them guidelines, and explain to them exactly what it is that you are going to do. Then you would actually go ahead in the field and do a hands-on training with them, showing them the different techniques and actually just doing the whole process, the theoretical part that you did. So normally it can take place within a day. For example, you may have, for example, the theoretical session in the morning, and in the afternoon you have the practical session. Other instances, you can do it over a longer period of time. For example, I've done farmer field schools where you actually uh, plant the crops and you have a session every week until you actually harvest the crop. So it's the entire life cycle of the plant. So the farmers, they learn very well. For example, during that period, you explain all the different uh, plant stages of plant growth to them, the different methods that you can use to capture data, you explain fertilization, you explain every other detail that pertains to plant growth with them.
Why would you say this method would have been most effective in terms of training the farmers?
Whenever you do a farmer's field school, you normally choose a crop. For example, in the Kalinago territory, we do a lot of cassava, etc. So it would be community based. Every single person that you choose to be in the field school will be growing that crop or cultivating that crop. So whenever you bring them, you ensure that they all that the topic that you discuss with them is all related to cassava. So then everybody would come, they would share ideas. For example, there are different people that do things differently, and during the farmers field school, they share that knowledge with other farmers. They learn new techniques, and it is all related, and it is a practical method. You understand? So that people learn by some people learn theoretically by listening, others learn by actually doing it. So the farmers field school, it is a great method because at the end you learn by doing it.
Okay, so everybody would have been engaged, nobody would have been left out. Exactly. So everybody would be on the same page in the end.
On the same page, people learn from each other, they share their experiences, they ask questions, we share different methods that they use in terms of cultivating the plant.
Transformative projects are built through collaboration. The Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School brought together a network of committed partners, each contributing expertise, resources, and support to empower local farmers and strengthen agricultural resilience within the Kalinago territory. By working together across institutions and communities, these partnerships created opportunities for learning, innovation, and long-term impact. Their collective efforts demonstrate what can be achieved when a shared vision is backed by meaningful action. To learn more, let's hear from Dr. Kimon Joseph, Head, UWI Global Campus, Dominica.
The Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School is an initiative of the Commonwealth of Learning, the University of the West Indies Global Campus, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy in Dominica. The collaboration seeks to provide training opportunities for farmers in communities so that they can get hands-on training that they need and then be able to implement these opportunities, these trainings that they have received within their communities. What was unique about the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School projects in the Kalinago territory was that it was our second effort. We had done a first one in Portsmouth in the north of Dominica, and now we were introducing it to the Kalinago territory, which is the area where our indigenous people reside. The program was going to be in two parts, which was different from the first time that we had done it in the north of Dominica, in that we would first have the 6-week training, and that would be followed by the practical aspect where the farms would be visited, the farmers group would have to keep accurate records, and they would have to demonstrate that they were using those skills that they had been taught during the Farmer Field School program to be able to provide sustainable agricultural practices that could give yields to their crops. It was even more special, if I do say so, by the fact that the trough system that affected us on the weekend of the 25th and 26th of April 2026 gave an opportunity for a live demonstration in terms of how people would react, how agricultural practices that they had learned would be able to assist them when they were faced with an actual disaster, which is exactly what happened in that area. And the farmers did report that many of the practices that they had learned, particularly as these referred to mitigating against the harmful effects of climate change and dangerous weather patterns, really made a difference in terms of how they were able to save some of their crops, as well as some of the lessons that they learned in how to go forward as we move into the very unpredictable times that climate change provides.
For centuries, the Kalinago people have relied on the land for survival, nourishment, and cultural identity. Today, that same connection remains, but with sustainable agricultural practices designed to protect natural resources and, of course, strengthen livelihoods. At the heart of this initiative is a unique approach to learning, one that places farmers directly at the center of the educational experience. To learn the impact of the Sustainable Agriculture Farmer Field School, it is important to listen to the lived experiences of the participants themselves. Participants in the Farmer Field School expressed that being in the program changed the way they manage several of the agricultural processes, including soil health, water use, drainage, and pest control.
The farmer field school basically has broadened my understanding on how I should manage my plants and choosing my plants. Before, I would mainly just pick some random plant and hopefully hope that it makes a yield or it will grow good. But now I have a better understanding at what I should pick and when I should grow it and at how I should manage it to make it the best yield possible. So it's had greatly helped me.
But I believe the program made me a little more serious. I'll have to say. I mean, we've been doing farming all along, but then sometimes you do farming is like part of your life. So you don't pay too much attention. You don't pay too much attention to some of those things. But when you're in a program and people expect you to produce the way that you learn and to do some of the practices that you were taught, then clearly I think you have to live up to it. So I think that was one of the reasons why we started we are a little more, resilient. We are a little more committed.
After participating in the field school, it has helped me a lot. When it comes to like the roots and the pest control, especially when you have the rot roots, it helps because I can identify them. Now I know what are the causes of the different diseases and insects that affects the plant. So now I know how to treat them, what to do in order to get the plants, to revive the plants and to get, instead of having wastage, now I can use them in different forms and I can treat them differently.
Farmers discussed several challenges that they faced as they tried to implement climate-smart, sustainable agricultural techniques, as taught in the Farmer Field School.
Some of the challenges that I do face is the dry weather. It is a challenge, but what happened is I use drums, containers, where I can collect the water and it can settle for a while and then I use it to wet the plants. So I would collect the water, use a spray can and wet the plants instead of having to use like the rain, because we have no rain. I can still use the pipe-borne water, but let it settle in. So all the, how we call it, the chemicals that they put in the water, the treatment that they put in the water, that it can settle in, and then I can use it to wet the plants. So, yes.
Well, one of the main issue is finance, because most of the climate smart and these things come with cost and finance, and we here in the Kalinago territory, we do not have the, how I'll say it, the capacity or the finance for some of these measures, to implement some of these measures. So finance is one of our major issue. Yes, so I think that is one of the main issues, sourcing funds to get the equipment or whatever needed to do these things.
For example, challenges, it has some challenges. For example, if you're not using heavy chemical for weed management, for example, it is intense labor, so you would have to be weeding quite frequent. And also in terms of the financial support. So there are times you may do it, but there's that much that you can do as a farmer, and there are times you need hired hand to assist you to achieve based on the skill of the farm. For example, there are times that I hire hands, sometimes four times in a month, every week, for someone to come in to assist me in terms of weed management.
Farmers were pleased with the training as the techniques taught led to an increase in crop yields and income.
Yes, I have noticed it. I have greater yield. Here, example, we have the cabbages, and if you notice, they are very green and healthy. But also at my home, where I do all my vegetables and my plantains, I have seen a lot of growth and yield. I did my lettuce, and I had lettuce until the summer. A lot of them wasted because it was a lot. And then I did the celery and the parsley. And right now I have tomatoes, and it's out. This morning I was pruning like this, and there's a greater yield. They are filled with flowers, and a lot of fruits are already on them. So I see that, the Farmers Field School helped me in a lot of different areas.
Well, yes, moving from just a backyard, doing backyard farming now to my own farm. And as a group, we have done moving from simple, like maybe 50 or even up to 100 lettuce to now 400, producing 400 lettuce seedlings. It have helped us, yes, in producing more.
Absolutely. I have seen a significant increase in the crop yield because now we better understand how to care for the plant health itself, and for the nutrient balance when needed in different applications. We do.
On the 25th of April, there was severe rainfall and landslides due to a trough system. This impacted the farmers in various ways.
The flood that happened 2 weeks ago, the landslide affected my vegetable produce, my tree crops, provisions, and things like that. I had two landslides on my right and my left. That's about 100 feet deep. And I had cassava, I had dasheen, tanya, my fruit trees like my guava cherries, things like that. I lost all of them. Coconut trees, pear trees, mango trees, name it. I lost them.
Well, personally, the flooding, I was affected mild, I would say mild, not so severe. We get a lot of water, so because of the water, our fertilizer and so was washed out from our farms, but that is about it.
So the flood basically did some major damage to our farm. We had some minor drainage, but due to the huge amount of rain we got in a short period of time, there was major flooding. And for housing, it did minor damage, but there were just some flooding, but not too major.
Some of the techniques previously learned in the Sustainable Farmer Field School proved beneficial in mitigating produce losses.
What I learned from the Farmers Field School to help me to protect and to reduce on my losses was the drainage, where we planted the cabbage, and what we did is we create drains so the water would not wash out the cabbages or whatever we plant, but it would run down.
After the flooding, the Farmers Field School was very, very useful because of what I learned. Some of the things was implemented on my farm, for example, the drainage and mulching and these things. So because of that, it also helped preserve my soil from being washed away.
But the truth is, the landslide and the flooding didn't have an effect on our farm. And the reason for that is because we allowed, after the first crop, the cucumber crop, we allowed the grass to grow so it could mitigate against water flow on the surface. Also, we had done a counter drain from the top, from the beginning, to take the water away from the top. So that also helped in mitigating against the exact water flowing over the surface and washing away the topsoil. So no, it didn't have any effect on our farm.
Farmers expressed what they found most useful about the Farmer Field School.
The Farmers Field School have helped in a number of areas, and as you mentioned, in the community involvement, in the disaster, and in the management of the climate and everything. Because what happens is, at the Farmers Field School, we learn the different things. We learn how to take care of your plants. We learn how to preserve the water. We learn how to preserve the forest. You plant vetiver or you plant trees in order to protect the soil and to protect your harvest, whatever you're planting. In the disaster area, it also helps us to identify the areas that are weak, the weak areas, and how we can strengthen them and what we can do in order to encourage our people in the community to do better, plant better, and to, let it be sustainable for ourselves. In that case, that we do not have to wait on outside sources to feed us, but we can feed ourselves by what we plant and what we grow.
I was just a backyard farmer, backyard gardening farming. That's what I did. I was just doing like some lettuce, tomatoes, and these things. During the Farmers Field School, I learned a lot of soil testing, different things about how to go along preparing the farm and so on. So, and because of taking part in the Farmers Field School, I was able to now extend to a larger farm where we produce as a group more lettuce, and on a personal level, I now have my own farm that I have started where I do some dashing. I have 1,225 dashing plants so far on my farm.
I knew about crop rotation and interplanting, just that we were not paying attention because when you plant for the market, you want to make maximum use of your land. So we go for the crops like banana and plantain and coconuts. We planted all of those because we want the market right away. But then short-term crops. So for example, we were not doing much short-term crops except a few vegetables for the kitchen. But now we've come to realize we can earn quite an amount of money from short-term crops. So I think that's something that tickled my mind that look, man, you can do that instead of just doing plantain and yams and so on. So let's do some short-term crops. And so with the cucumbers and the melon and the cabbage and so on, we do more of that. So that is something that helped me. I've already made up my mind, and we have decided that we're going to do more of the carrot now and cucumbers in the future. So yes, the faster return we can get, then the better. So I think I love that kind of teaching and that kind of thing. It helps us to think outside of the box. So I think right now I am a little more familiar with some of the chemicals we can use for whatever disease, but we can identify right now better, I must say, some of the diseases and the pests that are affecting our crops. We can better identify them and know exactly what type of chemical, what type of treatment to give them. I learned that from the school.
For the Farmers Field School, I think that when we look at our land, I think the land is very important. How do we preserve the land, since that I think it is a living organism where we need to protect it within the natural environment so we can actually continue to sustain it, make the land healthy so it can produce for generation to come. So I think the land use is very important. How do we protect our land?
I've learned how to do the mulching, the organic fertilizers, various ways that I can prune my crops to make it bear more. And also, I've learned how to better implement myself as a marketing person to sell my crops. And I've seen great yield and great progress in my farming life.
As we conclude this journey through the Kalinago territory, one message stands clear. Sustainable agriculture is more than a method of farming. It is an investment in people, culture, resilience, and the future. Through partnership, education, and community spirit, the seeds planted today will continue to bear fruit for generations to come. True success is not only measured by statistics and reports, but of course it is measured by the stories of the participants we heard today in the Farmer Field School. Through their experiences, they shared with us their challenges and of course their triumphs. But more importantly, they shared with us the impact that the Farmer Field School had on their lives, their farms, and of course, their communities. This has been Harvest and Heritage. My name is Tyreese Francis.